Hey guys, good morning. Hey guys, good morning. Hey guys, I'm excited to be with you this morning as we are profitable in majority of our pairs that we analyzed yesterday. Hi Sky, good morning. Thank you. Trust you all had a wonderful night rests. Yes, good morning, Abdel. All right. I hope I got that correctly. And I hope my voice is clear enough. Hi, Guy. Holadare. Hi. Glad to have you around. And is Khan around? Is Khan around? Khan, are you there? Okay. So, first of all, what we're going to start with today is we're first of all going to be looking at the pairs we analyzed yesterday, and we will be looking at how well or how bad they were as of today before we move into the new pairs that we're going to be talking about for today. So, with no further ado, let's start with the UK oil, and that's what you can see on the chart right now. The UK oil was very profitable as we were able to close with over 380 pips on this one. We saw that move, we saw that rejection yesterday, we saw this buy move, the rejection, and we saw price keep going to the upside on this one. So, profitable trade, we took that out. And is there any opportunity we're still looking forward to on this one? I think there is. First of all, we should acknowledge the fact that we are still within a supply zone. Okay, we had a breakout of that supply zone earlier this morning around this area. We saw that supply zone broke out, and then it's which emphasizes that the price of the UK oil appears to continue to go to the upside at this point. So if you allow me, let me delete the position meter since we already knew that we are profitable here, and then we will be having something like this. So I want us to look at what we have right now if we'll still have positions lining up for us at this point in time in the market. So if you allow me, I want to delete all those ones and then let's zoom in to structure. First of all, we can't ignore this bullish trend line that we've identified. This line has helped us, has guided us into a profitable trade yesterday. And I think we should extend that line to see how price is going to react to that line. Are we going to see price continue to respect that line, or are we going to have a breakdown of that line at this point? Well, the first thing we'll want to notice here is that we have an impulse leg to work with at this point. We have this impulse leg that ran through into 115.4. And if we look at it closely, we saw something like this. After taking profit, hitting our profit target around here, price retraced a little bit into 113.65, though didn't touch that trend line before we saw that move to the upside at this point. So one thing at this point is this: we still don't have any setup on the 1 hour time frame to work with. As we If we want to join the trend, then we want to be looking for price to respect that trend line. Then we see structure that supports a trend continuation to the upside. However, we don't have that at this point, so I want us to scale down to, let's say, the 15 minutes time frame, and let's see what is happening on the 15 minutes time frame. Now that we've broken the supply zone, I want to hide this supply zone at this point, and let's find a level we can work with from this area. Now, looking closely with our line charts switched on, we have something around here. We have a structure like a key level around 114.2, which is around this area. So we will be having something like this. Let me make this a little bit thicker, and then we'll label it 114.2 key level at 114.200, I guess. And let's place this right at the top. So we have a key level right at this point after the breakout of that supply zone we identified earlier, and then we have something like this. So going into the New York session, I want to implore that we look at this structure, this key level, as a guide going into the New York session, and we want to be looking for a reversal pattern right at the top of on top of this key level, which might also share a confluence with that bullish trend line, after which we see a breakout of structure and a confirmation to join the rally to the upside. So with this being said, with that structure at this point, where will our take profit target be from this area? If we look left, we can see we had a structure here, we had a reversal pattern here, after which we saw the breakout of structure, retest of structure, and price move to the upside. So we want to be using this level as our impulse leg, which we want to be projecting into the future, where we will be looking forward to the take profit targets within the 127 to 127.2% retracement of that impulse leg. So we will be having something like this at this point, at least a minimum of 116.7 thereabout. Now, before we make conclusions on this one, there's also another thing we might want to be looking out for at this point. Let's see what's on the daily time frame. On daily time frame, if we bring out our line chart here, we can see that we have a structure around this area. So I want to make this a little bit yellow. We had a structure around here. So let me make this blue. So we can see that we had selling opportunity here. We had the buying opportunity here. We had a resistance level here. We had a resistance level here as well. And then we had one here too during the beginning of the month. And for me, that level appears to be more of a supply zone, as we have stated earlier. Khan is back on. Good morning, Khan. I asked after you earlier. So this is the scenario we have on UKOil at this point. And then we have so it appears this level wants to be broken at this point. So going back to our 15 minutes time frame, we have that level. So we said we want to be looking for structures to come back into this area to join the potential bullish momentum. However, it is pertinent to note that this impulse leg might see price do a retracement at the culmination of that what's it called, that impulse leg here. So we don't know when this impulse leg is going to end. So probably somewhere around here, we could be having a retracement into the golden zone area, which is within 50 and 78.6% retracement before we see trend continuation to the upside. So what I want us to be looking out for is this. We want to hold on after taking our profit. We want to hold on at this point because there's a possibility that those who actually took advantage of that bullish run that started yesterday might want to do quick sells, and that quick sells might see a retracement into that golden zone area before we finally see signs that project that we might be going bullish. So it's appropriate that we hold on a little bit and let's see what happens. So let's use this key level as our guide going into the New York session. If we see a break into this level and we see multiple rejection of that level, then that's a sign that we can buy. However, if we see a breakdown of that key level, of this key level here, we see a breakdown of that key level, then probably want to be seeing a retracement into that golden zone area, which we identified earlier before we now start seeing that bullish move to the upside. And that retracement and that golden zone area allow me to identify that right now. Mind you, we can't identify that yet, sorry, because we don't know when the retracement phase will end. But wherever the retracement head ends, sorry, wherever the impulse ends, then we want to be looking for retracement into the golden zone area. And how do we know that the impulse leg has ended? We want to be looking for reversal structure right above here to confirm that the impulse has ended, after which we look for retracement into the golden zone area where we look for opportunity to the upside. And please don't forget, I said the key level at 114.200 is also an area where we want to be looking at if we see multiple rejections or structures that support price is likely to move to the upside from that area. So that is that on the UK oil. Yes, we will be looking at US oil afterwards. So we want to quickly run through the pairs we talked about yesterday and let's see how well they are doing. And I'm excited that we are actually doing very, very well on I think 90% of the pairs we analyzed yesterday. So on the Euro USD, we are profitable already and we are running in about how many pips in profit now? We're running close to 100 pips, 97 pips in profit. So this is what we have on the Euro USD, and prices are already heading into that key level we identified on the daily time frame, the key level at 1.05200, which also shares a confluence with the bearish trend line that we identified yesterday at this point. So for those who took that counter trend opportunity, well done guys. And price is almost into take profit targets, so I am very sure, I hope you've moved your stop loss to break even. And right now, if price moves into this key level area, now we want to be looking for a reversal pattern around this area to take advantage of that sell continuation to the downside, as this move to me at this point looks more like a retracement phase of that impulse leg we identified on the daily time frame. If you look at what we have here, this is what we have, and that's that impulse leg on the daily time frame here. And we want to be looking forward to probably price respecting this trend line at this point, this trend line here, this bearish trend line, where we will be seeing a trend continuation to the downside. However, there is a possibility that we can be having a breakout of that trend line, that temporary trend line, where we see a retest of that trend line. Then we should be looking for opportunities that will guide us into a momentum further up, and we'll probably be looking at this area at this point, though that's the long-term perspective anyway. So this is the scenario we're expecting on Euro USD. So if your position is running right now, I will advise that we move our stop loss to a considerable area where at least we can take some profits So that is that on the Euro USD. So moving on to USD CAD. USD CAD too is very profitable. As we can see here, price moved as expected, and we are running in about how many pips now? We are running about 125 pips in profit at this point. Personally, I've moved my stop loss to this area at 112.8900, and I think the last time I did this stop loss move was yesterday when price was around this area. So I think it was appropriate that we move our stop loss to this area now. That's about how many pips in profit there? 73, 75 pips thereabout. So unfortunately, I only took one position on this trade because I was hoping that this bearish trend line will guide our action, as I was looking for a rejection into that trend line where I could see opportunity to send price going down. But we never saw that retest of that trend line. So that's why I only have one position running on this one. So, but in case we have one during the New York session, then it's probably a time to add more position as we decline down into the 1.27500 area. And remember that our take profit target is at 1.27500, which I also said that around this area will be an area where we'll be looking for buying opportunity. So this is a TP target area for sellers. So there's still a long way to go. We still have like how many pips to catch if price move as expected. We still have like at least a minimum of 120 pips to catch if price move as expected. After which, if price comes into this area, then we want to be looking for reversal setup, break out of that trend line, the retest, and probably price move to the upside. So we also have a prospect on the USD CAD probably later on in this week or the next week. So that is that on the USD CAD. So allow me to move on to the AUD USD. On the AUD USD, we are also profitable on the AUD USD. Remember, we had two scenarios that we So on the AUD USD, we had two scenarios yesterday where I was saying that probably price might want to be respecting this trend line. However, we saw that retest of that trend line, but price did not move back into our entry area at this point. Okay, I think I had a stop loss here on my sell opportunity and my buy opportunity was triggered. So we had price move, break out of that trend line. Then we saw a quick retest of that key level and we saw price move to the upside. And we already having, I think I have two positions running on this one. We already have 112 pips in profit on this one. That's almost 200 pips running in profit. And remember, I said yesterday that if we have a situation where we start seeing multiple rejection of this area, then we should move our stop loss to break even, because there is the possibility that sellers can actually take over that market considering the long-term bearish momentum on this on this pair. So immediately I saw this multiple rejection yesterday. I moved my stop loss to around this area, I think, above, right above this 0.69328. And fortunately for us, price did not come back down at all, as continued to find higher highs. So right now, we want to be looking forward to our take profit target at within this area. Though apparently we have a 150 pips take profit target set. It's also worthy to note here that considering the long-term bearish momentum, we want to be looking for selling opportunities right at this trend line or within the opportunity zone to something like this to push price further down. So this is a counter trend opportunity, and luckily for us, we are running profitable on that one. So let's see how this rate plays out. Let's see if it's going to take out our take TP. Ensure you have moved your stop loss. It's most appropriate that we move our stop loss to right above this level, that is 0.69800 is the most appropriate place to move, because we have a structure. If you look left, we have a structure around this area to work with at this point. So that is that on the AUDUSD. So now moving on, we have New Zealand USD, which is also profitable as the counter opportunity. We saw that move, we saw the breakout, we saw the retest, then which is a confirmation, and we went in on this one. So right now my stop loss is right at this place. I think I set the stop loss yesterday. So right now it's appropriate that we move our stop loss to somewhere around here because we have a structure at this area. 0.63300 is most appropriate, and right now we're running with how many pips in profit? We 90 pips thereabout. Unfortunately, I also have one trade on this one because I was expecting to see scenarios where structures that would support me had in more position to this, but it never came. So we have our take profit target right at 0.6950, which is around 200 pips. However, we shouldn't forget that this is a supply zone which has been tested in the past, and there is a possibility that we might be seeing reversal structure within the supply zone in the nearest future. And in that regard, we should ensure that we mitigate against the risk of being stopped out without enough profit to be proud of on this trade. So let's see what happens within the supply zone during the New York session, and by tomorrow. Unfortunately, I wish I could have like 2 sessions in a day where I could take the morning session and the evening session where we can actually see what happened by the end of at the end, close to the end of the US session, so that we can have plans towards the UK session in the morning. But since that is not happening right now, let us just look at what we have now, and let's see how price reacts within the supply zone today or during the New York session, and let's see if price breaks out of that level. Then if we have a breakout of that level, then we want to be looking for a retest into this level to join a potential rally into this major trend line we identified on the daily time frame. And the reason why I said if you have a retest because remember that this was a demand zone sometime in the future. If we extend it out into this area, definitely we could be looking forward to break out a retest into that area and a rally continuation from that area. So that is that on the New Zealand USD. So as you can see, majority of our trade yesterday was profitable. And then on the GBPUSD too, very profitable trade as well on the GBPUSD. Remember we had 2 scenarios. We were expecting that price would probably break down of that key level, reach that key level, respecting that trend line to send price down. But price did not do that, as we saw that bullish move right out of that, right out of the blocks, as we saw the big bang out of it even took out the supply zone, giving us a clue into the bullish tendency in this market. So at this point, I want to be looking forward into a retracement into probably this area to send price going to the upside. And the reason why I'm saying retracement into this area is because one, this is a supply zone, and at one point in time this has been a demand zone as well. And if we look left, we see this this bullish trend line that was broken here on the 11th of May. I mean this bullish trend line here. So if you allow me to extend that bullish trend line, then we can be having something like this, where price could probably respect that trend line one more time, at least do a retest of that trend line, and then we see the trend continuation to the upside. So for the GBPUSD, this is what I'll be looking out for. We have how many pips running in profit now? We have 190 pips running in profit. It's appropriate that we move our stop loss to somewhere around here at 1.23600, right below the supply zone here, because it's possible we have a retest of this trend line, after which we look for opportunities to add more position to this trade. So on this one, I also have one position running for this one. And I think probably it's because the reason why I have that is because I'm very conscious, because I don't want to take unnecessary counter trend opportunities considering a long-term bearish momentum on this pair. So that is that on the GBPUSD. And moving on to GBPAUD. On the GBPAUD, we are still struggling with we are still struggling with on the GBPAUD. As we expected yesterday, we expected that we were expecting selling opportunities on the GBPAUD yesterday. If you look at what we had on the daily time frame, we realized that we are actually in a supply zone. And remember, I said something a couple of weeks ago on this pair that the reversal pattern that we identified on this daily time frame is probably going to send price to the upside, as we were expecting a breakout of that structure for over 2 weeks, but it never came. All we were seeing was multiple rejections of that area, giving us a clue that sellers are still quite strong in this market. However, it is worthy to note that we still expect that bullish momentum to, and it will only happen, we only join that rally when we see a confirmation in the form of a retest of that area, probably on a lower time frame, to join the rally to the upside. However, in the meantime, because of this multiple selling situation I found here, so this area was identified as supply zone, and we had a key level right at 1.776 as a yardstick that will guide our action going into the new week. However, if we look into what happened, we had positions here and here during the course of yesterday. I entered one here, 1.775, 77257, and 17694, and we had this move. Like, how many pips was that? I think we had this move around 100 pips, and this move went in like this and came back into our entry area. So I was took out at the second area. I was taking out the second area because when price broke down this structure, remember I told you that when price breaks down the structure yesterday, that we should move our stop loss to break even. So what I did was I moved my stop loss into 1.769 area, where during the course of today's trading session we saw price break out of that level and come back to our entry area. So now what's happening right now is this. We can see we have this sharp rejection of that key level at this point. We have two quick rejection within the last 3 hours on this one. I've re-entered anyway. I have a re-entry point here, and if you are not in yet, you can still enter at this point. Well, I've made enough. I think I made around, let me see, yesterday I made around 40-50 pips there about on this one, before price came back to take me out. So now I've entered another one here with a 67 pip stop loss. So even if it is stop loss, I'm still good on this one. So one thing we'll be looking at is this. I've entered another one here which is running already. I think we are still struggling at this point. Then I still have another one right under this structure where I'm looking forward to price break down that level. So our take profit target still remain 1.74500, and our stop loss still around 1.77940 area, which is around 70 pips on this one. So like I said yesterday, if we have a breakdown once again of this area, or price comes around this area, sorry, let me come again. If we have price reject this area multiple times, that means that buyers are actually coming in. So at this point, we should move our stop loss to the second entry if possible. And then if we have a breakdown of this that even extends beyond the previous low, then we see a rejection of this area and we see structures that support a trend condition to the downside, then I will advise that we had one more position to this trade as we look forward to a take profit target of 1.745 area on the GBPAUD. I think that's clear enough. Bonjour. Okay, so that is that on the GBPAUD. So now moving on to the USDJPY. I'm not sure if I shared the USDJPY with you guys yesterday. I'm not sure, I can't remember, but it's one trade I took yesterday, and I've been expecting a bearish momentum for the USDJPY. And why is that so? If we look at what's happening on the daily time frame, well, I have a very rough. Okay, allow me to do this. Okay, if you look at what's happening on the daily time frame, we have a structure that looks more like a reversal pattern at this point. Even though price action has been bullish since February of this year, we saw that as soon as price got to this level at this 131.500 area, we saw the first rejection of that level. Then price came back into that level again. We saw the second rejection of that level, which was definitely followed by engulfing candles in that regard. Now price appears to have done a retracement back into this neckline area, where I'm looking forward to a trend continuation to the downside. And this continuation to the downside is not likely going to be a long term. I'm seeing a short term perspective to this, in the sense that this could probably be a retracement into respecting this channel I identified here on the daily time frame. That is this one here, and this one here. Probably price is going to respect that channel, something like this. We might be having something price come into that level, break down, then we see a trend continuation to the upside, which was a breakout of structure and to the upside. So that's one scenario about this. So in the meantime, on a short-term perspective, what I said is this: let me just sell at 129.578, and let's see what happens. And if I have a breakdown of this key level at 129 area, I want to add more position to it. So now we have this breakdown, and price doing a retracement back into that zone. So I have another pending order placed right at 128.938, whereby I'm looking forward to a trend continuation to the downside. So I have a take profit target at 127, which is around 250 pips, and with a 80 pips stop loss on this one. And if we look close into what's happening on the 1 hour time frame on this one, we see price has been rejecting the selling opportunity zone I identified earlier. Price has been rejecting that level since the beginning, since the later part of last week, and the new week has also saw rejection of that level too, which is giving me a clue into the potentials that the sellers have at this juncture in the market. However, it is worthy to note that, considering long-term bullish momentum on this chart, it is most appropriate that we remain conscious. As price moves in our direction, we should ensure that we move our stop loss accordingly to mitigate against any risk of losing too much money on this pair. So with that being said, it is possible to also look into a scenario that the bullish momentum can come in. If we have a scenario where price breaks above that 129.550 area, and we see a breakout of that trend line up there and rejection, then we want to be looking for ways to buy the USDJPY. But for now, we can only remain bearish at this juncture in the market. So I think that is clear. So moving on to XAUUSD. On XAUUSD, I have a short-term situation on XAUUSD, which I am planning to exploit if price runs as expected. It is obvious that we are on a bearish momentum since when was that? Since mid-April. Sorry, no, since the beginning of March, we've been on bearish momentum, and right on the 3 hours time frame, I have a trend line identified here, which has been my major trend line since the mid-April. Now that we have price come back into this area, which is also, you can see, let me go back to the daily time frame so that we can have a better look into this. See, this is what I have here in the daily time frame. We have a situation where we had a trend line, a bullish trend line being respected since August last year. We saw that bullish trend line being respected until that huge expansion, and we saw the breakdown of that trend line around this area. So there is a possibility that we might be going up, or probably the breakdown of that trend line is a sign that participants are actually dumping the gold for the dollar. So when you scale down to the 1 hour time frame, I think on the 1 hour time frame, we have this impulse leg to work with, the impulse leg at this area to work with. As we can see, since last week we've been bearish on this one, and remember we took like 3 trades last week on XAUUSD and we were profitable in all the 3. Now we are hoping that we will follow with that streak this week. So the first thing I did was to identify a key level to work with, and the key level was formed around 1831. I think 1831.800. Yes, 1831.800. As we can see, we saw rejections of this area at this point. We saw the breakdown. We saw a rejection of that area at this time, and then price does a retracement into this area, and we begin to see multiple rejections of that area since the beginning of the week. So I am thinking that below this key level will be an area where we should be looking for selling opportunities at this point in the market. So in that regard, I scrolled down to the 15 minutes time frame where I identified a bullish trend line. We can see on the chart with the green line here on the chart. So with this green line on the chart here, we saw that price has been respecting that line since last week. I see if buyers are trying to gain that momentum to pull that energy from sellers. But you see what happened right here during yesterday's trading session. We saw the breakdown of that trend line, giving us a sign that sellers are still very strong. The strength of the sellers cannot be ignored at this juncture in the market. And then we saw buyers push price up a little one more time, and it got rejected by that trend line, giving us a confirmation in the form of a double top structure around this area. And we saw this engulfing candle, like 2 engulfing candles or 3 engulfing candles on the 15 minutes time frame on this one. Though price has come back into that key level area with multiple rejection of that area at this point. So one thing I'm looking forward to is I'm looking forward to taking this trade right below the structure at this area. So I have 3 pending orders right on this, on the XAUUSD, again on this one, and I have one here at 1826.447. I have one at 1826.34, no, 206, and I have one right below the structure at 1822.431. So this is what I'm looking forward to on the gold, where I haven't take profit target at $1,790. And why is my take profit target around this area? The reason why that is, look at this trend line here, this bearish trend line, and you'll see what happened during the course of last week's trading session. The buyers broke out of that trend line during the last week trading session, and with that breakout, we might be seeing price come back to do a retest of that trend line that was broken. Probably we now can see a trend continuation to the upside, but that can never be decided by now. We can't tell that for now, but what we know for now is let's work with a key level at 131.800 area. And if we see any break above this area, multiple rejections of the skill level on this side, then the selling opportunities, the selling setup will be negated at this point. Then we will be looking forward to a bullish buyers on this one. So let's see how price reacts in this regard as the day goes by, as we anticipate the New York session. Yes, Shanna, good morning. Good morning to you. So this is what we have here on the gold. Now moving on to the AUDJPY. Another here I identify here on the AUDJPY yesterday, but things are not moving as expected. So I don't think it's necessary I say anything on this one for now, because I was expecting a selling opportunity at this area, and what happened was that we saw that breakout of that trend line, that bearish trend line, hereby negating any setup I have in this regard. So I'll be holding on to see what happens. If I see structures that support a trend continuation, then I'll be waiting for a confirmation of the break in the form of a retest of structure to join the rally to the downside. So but since we don't have that at this moment, so it's very advisable I just keep quiet on this one and let's move forward to the next one. So on the Euro CHF, on the daily time, what I see here on the daily time frame for the Euro CHF is that we are definitely on a long-term bearish momentum on the Euro CHF. And so with a long-term bearish momentum on the Euro CHF, I was able to identify a bearish trend line, which is represented on the chart with that red line. Then if you scale down to, let's say, the 4 hours time frame, for instance, we actually took a trade on Euro CHF sometime 2 weeks ago where we had almost like over 100 pips on this one. So now we have this impulse leg to work with at this point. There's this impulse leg to work with. And if we look closely into what happened on this 4 hours time frame, we saw this move to the upside, though it didn't get close. It got close to the bearish trend line we identified on the daily time frame, but it didn't get too close to it. So we now saw price come down, and then we saw a lower high at this point. And then since that lower high, we saw a scenario where we see multiple rejection at this area. So that gave me a sign that we might be going bearish on this one. So because of that, when I cited that formation, what I did was that I identified a key level right around this area with my line chart on. So I identified a key level right around this area. That's at I think 104,850. So with a key level right at that area, we want to be using that key level as a yardstick going forward. So as we pair going into the New York session, we want to see how price reacts below this key level. If we see a breakout of that key level and a retest of that key level, then we want to hold on to any selling opportunities, as price might actually break out of that bearish trend line and continue to the upside. So in the meantime, I have placed the pending order rights here at 1.04399 and 1.04279, and with a take profit target of around 140 pips and a stop loss of around 50 pips here. I'm looking at taking a counter trend opportunity if it finally comes in as expected. And the reason why my take profit target is around 1.0300 is because we are on a long-term bearish momentum on this one. And we are on a short-term bearish momentum, as we saw this impulse leg, we saw the retracement, we saw another impulse leg, and we probably might be seeing a retracement into this area before we see a trend continuation to the upside. And that is evident with this green bullish trend line identified here. Let me make it a little bit thicker so that we can see it. So this green trend line will be our guide for any bullish momentum going forward. So that's why I placed my buy opportunity around this area. And we also have a temporary trend line that we can identify here. Allow me to bolden this a little bit. Okay, so we see price respects this trend line since the beginning of March, and we have a scenario like this until we saw that breakout of that trend line earlier this month, and then we might be expecting a retest into that trend line. So we might be expecting a retracement into that bullish trend line where we look for opportunities to continue the bullish trend. So that is why I have my take profit target around this area. And if we look left, we can see that this area falls within the golden zone area of this impulse move. And if you bring out the Fibonacci retracement tool, we have something like this around this area. So that's that on the EURCHF. So I think we still have like 6 minutes left. So let me quickly go into Can's offer, and that's the US oil. Let's see what's happening on the US oil. I think we have the same scenario with that which we had on UK oil on the US oil. The first thing first we want to do is to go to the daily time frame and see what is happening on this pair. So if you allow me, first of all, it is obvious that we've been on a bullish momentum for quite a while now. And if we want to draw a bullish trend line to emphasize this bullish move, we will be having something like this. I think, yes, something like this. Allow me to make this green. Green, 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 green. I want to make this okay. So we have something like this. And so this bullish trend line has been guiding price action since August last year, as we continue to see the rejection of that. Once price comes into that area, we see rejection, though we had something that looked like more like a false breakdown here, after which we saw that move to the upside. So now, how do we want to take advantage of any trade whatsoever on this one? So if we zoom into what has been happening since mid-March, we should be able to identify a key level to work with on this one. So if we bring out our line chart and look for areas where we have structures that share a support and resistance at the same time, we will be having this area to work with. So what is the area we have here? We have 109 area. So 109 is a psychological level, key level at $109. At $109. So I think that's that. And then we already have a breakout of that key level during last week trading session. We had a breakout of that key level. Definitely what we want to be looking forward to is a retest of that key level, which might see us see a very long consolidation phase that might share a confluence with that trend line, breakout of structure, a retest into structure, a confirmation, a trend continuation to the upside. I'm not saying price will go this far. I'm just giving a scenario where we want to wait for structures to support that bullish move, because if you look at what's happening in the daily time frame, we can't just join the rally right at this point, because anything can happen. We might see price just go down a little bit, do a retracement probably, then do a breakup of that key level and move forward. So what this simply means is that this key level should be our guide going forward. So whatever happens, we want to buy at retest of this key level, or rejections of this key level, or reversal patterns on that key level, and we can join the rally to the upside. So let's go down to a much lower time frame and let's see what is happening on the lower time frame. So on the lower time frame, this is what we have here on the lower time frame. Definitely, since price tested that bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame on the 11th of May, we can see that we have that bullish move. We have that trend line we can work with, and we have something like this. We have something like this. So I would like to make this a little bit lighter, because this is not a major trend line, but probably going to be a temporary one for now. And going back to our candle chart, we have something like this. So there are two things here now. We might be looking forward to a breakdown of that trend line into that key level, after which we look for structures that support a trend continuation to the upside, or we look for price to respect that trend line. We see rejections of that trend line, multiple rejections, or structures that support the trend continuation to the upside. So those are the two ways we want to look at this. But when I zoom into what has been happening since yesterday, we saw that price is caught within a consolidation phase. Allow me to excuse me. Allow me to zoom into this consolidation phase. Let us see what has been happening since yesterday. So we have something like this. We had a bullish rectangle. So we had a bullish rectangle here. So this is a short-term trade. This is for short-term trade. What I analyzed earlier is a long-term perspective to this. Now we have a short-term scenario. This like the 1 hour. Let's say we can go to the 15 minutes time frame to look for opportunities around here. We saw a breakout of that consolidation phase, and we want to be looking for a retest of that structure and we want to see signals that will support a trend continuation to the upside. So at this point, we will be using the 15 minutes time frame to take a quick opportunity on the US oil. So what we want to look for is this. We really need to be very, very careful here. Remember, on the long-term perspective, I said there's a possibility that price will break down that temporary bullish trend line into that key level where we'll be looking for a reversal pattern to send price going to the upside. However, now that we have a setup here on, let's say, the 15 minutes time frame, for instance, and we have signs of a breakout around this area, which gives us a sign that buyers are actually very strong at this juncture in the market, then we want to be looking for price to come and retest the structure. Price come and retest the structure. Not only retest that structure, but retest it in such a way that we see structures that support a trend continuation to the upside, and we might want to go to a lower time frame, like say the 5 minutes time frame, to be able to see those structures that will support a trend continuation to the upside. Personally, left for me, I wouldn't take any trade on this one personally, but for those who want to take quick opportunities on this one, then we should be looking for somewhere around here. So for the sake of clarity, to be more precise, this is what we have here. We have an impulse leg here on the 15 minutes time frame. We have this impulse leg here. Now we want to work with that impulse leg, and we look for a retracement into the zone area of that impulse leg, where we look for opportunity to take advantage of a short-term bullish momentum if it will happen. So this is where our golden zone area is, and allow me to give this a yellow, and then we have this area as a buying opportunity, short term, 15 minutes time frame. So allow me to put this within this area. So we will be having something like this. That's if this happens. Sincerely, the price might not even come down. Price might just go up from there. But for me, for my own setup, for my own style of trading, I will prefer price to actually come into that golden zone area where I look for opportunities to take advantage of a trend continuation to the upside. So we will be having a take profit target at our 127.2% retracement of that impulse leg that we have here, which will definitely give us something like this. We have like 150 pips thereabouts. Then we have our stop loss right below this area at around 50, 55, 60 pips, whichever suits your portfolio size. So this is what I will be having here on the US oil on the short term. I hope I made justification to what's it called, Khan's wish. Khan, are you still around? All right, so that is that on the US oil. That's done on the US oil, and I think on this note, let's call it a day. But before I do, I would like to make a quick summary of what we've talked about so far. So on the UK oil, I said we were profitable on the US oil. We took profit yesterday, and I said the other opportunity that we have here is that we should be looking for multiple rejection of the skill level at 114.200, where we will be looking for a reversal pattern that will send price going to the upside. However, I also noted that there is a possibility that price could break that trend line identified on the 1 hour frame, where we will see price do a retracement back into the golden zone area of this impulse leg, after which we can look for buying opportunity. And remember, I said that this impulse leg is yet to finish. We don't know when it's going to end. So how do we know when it's going to end? We need to look for reversal structures around this area, and we have lower lows and lower highs. Then we know that the retracement has started. Then we look for buying opportunity right within the golden zone area, which is between 50 and 78.6% retracement of the impulse leg. So that's down on the UK. Then on the Euro USD, I said we already take profit. We took profit. We took profit on Euro USD. That's like 107 pips in profit. Well done to you guys. If you are taking that opportunity, kudos to you. Now, what did I say? I said now that we've taken profit on this one, now we want to be looking for reversal pattern at this point, where we want to look for the trend continuation to the downside. However, we don't know what's going to happen during the New York session. The possibility of a breakout of the trend line might probably happen, where we'll probably see that buyers are very, very strong, and probably a rejection of that key level at 105.200 we'll definitely be looking for structure that will support a trend continuation to the upside. So, but till that happens, we really don't have anything to say here. Like I said, that's why I wish I had 2 sessions to take with you guys, so that I can actually follow up with you in the morning and in the evening to see how we can take advantage. But it's okay. Tomorrow we'll look at what happens on the Euro USD, and we will do justice to that. Then on the USDCAD, we're still running in profit on the USDCAD, and I said I've already moved my stop loss to 1.28580, and if we see rejections of this bearish trend line, then we want to rejection in the form of a reversal pattern, then we want to join the decline to the downside. That's to welcome another position we welcome us to enter another position on this one. That's on the USD card. Then on the AUD USD, price is still going as planned, and we have a take profit target at 0.70750, which is around 150 pips. And like I told you, I said we're still looking for selling opportunities around this area. So we're still holding on and we're looking out for opportunities to sell around this area. So if you're a trend trader, well done on your patience, as we're still waiting for that price to come into this area before we can actually do anything like selling on this one. But we never can tell. Price might not even come back to that area, because you can see in the past, the last time price came into this area was at this point. If you look left, you look at structures, there was a support area at one point, and then price came into this area before we saw that sharp rejection. So let me give this a red. So, oh, sorry. So before price came back down. So it's possible that price might not come back into that area. So if you're a counter trade trader and you took this trade, kudos to you. I think how many pips running in profit now? With two positions running 109, 110 pips. That's around 200 pips. I'm very sure you have moved your stop loss to around 0.69800, so that you don't get stopped out, because we never can tell. Considering the long-term bearish momentum on this pair, it's very likely that sellers can come in at any moment in time. So that's that on AUD USD. Then on the New Zealand USD, we talked about that was also very profitable, and we were looking at a take profit target at around 64950. For me now, my stop loss is right here, 0.63300. We never can tell what will happen during the New York session, because we're heading into a supply zone, and considering the long-term bearish momentum, we need to be careful. We need to move our stop loss up to lock in some profits in case sellers come in on this one. Then on the GBPUSD, oh sorry, on the GBPUSD, price is still moving as expected, as we are running it with about how many pips in profit now? 200 pips in profit now. And we can see that price took out the supply zone around here, and I said we want to be looking forward to add position to this trade. So to add position to this trade, we want to be looking for to a retest of this supply zone, which will also share a conference with this bullish trend line, after which we look for structures that support a trend continuation to the upside. So that's what we'll be looking forward to on the GBP USD. Moving on to the GBP AUD, my sell opportunity on the GBP AUD still holds, and I told you that we are still struggling on the GBP AUD as price came in our favor over 100 pips before it took us out on our break-even level, and now I have re-entered again at this point 1.77270, and I also have a pending order right below at 1.76943, and the reason why that is because of this, the rejection of this key level at this point is more of a signal to me that price might still have the tendency of going bearish on this one. And remember, I said that if we have multiple rejection of this structure at this point, then definitely we should move our stop loss to break even, at least to the second entry, because the tendency that buyers could come in is becoming high at this point. However, if we have a breakdown of the structure, which also hits the lower low of the previous structure, then a retest into structure, we should be adding more position to one more position to this trade. So we have our take profit target at 1.74500, which is around 270 pips thereabout, with a stop loss of around 70 pips. Then on the USDJPY, I still maintain my bearish bias on the USDJPY, though I'm running in profits already with about how many pips? 23 pips profit. So we still witnessing multiple rejections of this level, of the neckline and this level. So let's still hold on to that and see how price react. We have a take profit target at 127 with around 250 pips in profit, 250 pips potential profit target. So that is that on the USDJPY. Then the USD, I said I have a short-term bearish bias on this one with a key level at 1832.180. With a key level around that area, I want to be looking for opportunities right below that key level. And like I said, I have three positions, three pending orders already. One at 1826.240, and then 1824.106, and 1822.596, as I'm looking forward to a short-term bearish momentum with the first TP right at 1808.600. Remember, we took this take profit last week. We took this move last week. I think we took this move, and we took this move, and I'm hoping that we have that same scenario this week. I hope that happens, but if it doesn't, we've taken enough profit to actually negate the loss we might have on this one. So that is that on the gold. Then on the AUDJPY, I said I'll keep silent on this one. Then EURCHF, I'm still expecting bearish momentum on this one, at least below this key level at 1.04850. Still be my guide going into the New York session. As a break below, I have two positions, two pending orders right there, with a take profit target at 1.0300, which is about 140 pips profit. Then we talked about the US oil lastly, and we said that what did I say on the US oil? I think I should just share that the only thing on the long-term perspective, I'm expecting price to break down this key level, retest it, break down the trend line rather, retest the key level, trend line, come back into this key level, then we look for opportunities to join the rally to the upside. However, if you are a short-term trader that you want to take quick opportunities on this one, we scroll down to the 15 minutes time frame where we saw a bullish rectangle where we saw a breakout of structure, and then we want to look for a retest into structure with situation that supports a trend continuation to the upside. And if that is your type of trade, then we want to be looking at 115.90 as your take profit target, which is at 150 pips profit with a stop loss of around 60 pips around this area, and that's for short-term traders only. So in this regard, I think we'll have to call it a day. It was quite a moment with you guys. I love you guys, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I wish you the best of luck during the New York session, and do have a wonderful day. Cheers.